pleasure to invite the president of the class of 2012, Randal Michelson, to come to the podium.
Good evening. It is an honor and a privilege to be standing up here in front of the finest collection of financial debt west of Washington, D.C., the KCUMB class of 2012. Nearly 4 years ago, we all walked out of this exact room with anxious expectations and a packet of notes for the upcoming two days, although they were thick enough to have been for a month. Just weeks into our first section, some of us were already our family's chief medical expert. What's this rash from? Do you think I'm allergic to vitamin D? Since family members rarely take I don't know for an answer, we, some of the best and brightest of our generation, did what any reasonable person would do. We Googled it. Our first year was lined with the same neuroticism that it took for each of us to get into medical school. Notes would mysteriously disappear. We'd fight tooth and nail for single points, though they would often amount to less than 0.0001% of our final grade. We'd wait what would seem like months, no, years, for grades to be posted. Finally, we get a text from a friend, grades are up. And then collectively, we would all hold our breath until finding out the curves calculation. During our second year, we became seasoned veterans. Long gone were the days of reading every word from our textbooks, and we realized that attending every class was not a life or death situation. We had our note-taking systems down, and we learned to rely on each other in order to maximize efficiency. And then came the true monster of medical school, the board examination. Each of us metamorphed into a hybrid of fact-storing automaton and hermit. It took months of reintegration therapy, but eventually we all became human again. At last, during our third year, we got to have a little contact with real live patients. It was refreshing to finally be doing a version of what we all came to medical school to do. Starting at a new hospital every month was totally overwhelming. And I became so steeped in medical culture that when my wife would ask me how I was doing, I would reply with, Randal Michelson is a 27-year-old previously healthy male with dehydration secondary to chronic bilateral lacrimation. This last year of medical school has by far been the most fun. We started to get a little bit more comfortable seeing patients, and we would recognize the role that these patients had had in our training as they graciously donated their time and their opinions in order to make a difference in our education. I'll never forget one particular elderly female patient who told me, "You remind me of my husband. You don't look anything like him, though. He was a very handsome man." The long white coat of residency was closer, but still far away. Eventually, I realized that we struggled for years to attain this white coat that is just as long as what the guy from building services receives immediately. Now that it's all over, when our family and friends have medical questions for us, we're always ready. We're faster, smarter, and more confident. But most importantly, our Google searches are better. Looking around the room today, it is clear that the journey through medical school has not been made alone. Family and friends have gone the extra mile, understanding when school eliminates our free time, and not holding against us late-night rants made within the delirium of pre-exam cramming. Faculty strive every day to provide us with an academic edge while unlocking our compassion and empathy. Administration and staff have worked diligently behind the scenes to make KCUMB the beautiful, welcoming environment that it is today. And last but not least, we should recognize the role that we, as classmates, have had in shaping our education. More than 250 people started on a path as strangers 4 years ago. We now share a common bond, and together enter into the next challenging but rewarding chapter of our lives. So let us raise a glass, a toast, to the KCUMB class of 2012.
Thank you, Randy. Please remain here for just a minute. I'd like to invite the Vice President of the class of 2012, Richard Milstein, to please come to the podium for a special presentation.
Don't worry, it's a short speech. Randy, I've served with you on the student government for the past 4 years. During this time, you've been an advocate for our class, making sure our voices were heard. As well, you've helped make our final graduation week a very memorable one, to go out with a last hurrah as medical students. I think I speak on behalf of the entire SGA when I say it has been a pleasure serving with you on this committee. So on behalf of the class of 2012, thank you for everything.